So I sit down and I say, you know, these are the biases in life. I sit down and say, never judge anybody. And especially when you're judging them on a basis which is completely groundless. Whatever value set you have, it is your value set. The day you start to impose your value set on others, that is when you're doing justice to people.
CTA with Patricia, video 4.
I love that I've started. I didn't think that this thing was going to be as funny as it is. We have a hilarious storyteller with us. If you're catching us here, trust me, you want to definitely go back and watch the previous episodes. It's not just hilarious, there's a lot of life lessons in it. Patricia, I want to say something before we talk about your first job. I mean your second job, aka you earned 250,000 shillings for an ad. Like that's, and this is what year?
87.
250,000 is a lot of money now for some people.
Exactly.
Actually, no. It's a
We
lot
don't
of money
even pay
now.
people that now.
Yes.
Time has stood still. Yeah.
Wow. What I'm also liking about your story is, I mean, at that young age, you're talking about saving. Granted, this goal of independence that's driving you is also the saving element probably even comes there. I can't just blow money.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about then the transition. Also, you're juggling a lot. You know, as much as you are living this story of Miss Kenya, you're trying to pack it, and we'll talk about why. You are juggling, and that's life now. Doing more than one thing. You're not just in school. There's somebody who can be watching this in their university. They're like, okay, so I can be in school, still do so well until you're being recruited, and also do this other thing that
actually
makes me
that
money.
wasn't the only work I was doing, right? There was a modeling, and I'd go back to Hamilton in the summer holiday and work there. Yeah.
The law firm.
The law firm, yes. I mean, yes, he got over the fact I wasn't doing law, but he would just let me come in and do admin stuff and whatever else. So I think the work ethic has always been in me.
Why are you going to work at Hamilton? One, you don't want to be a lawyer. Two, you're making money.
Because it's a job. It's a job. It was giving me an income. I think for me, there's this thing about me about opportunities, which I find very difficult to not pass up. Yeah, and every time I pass up an opportunity, I kick myself, because there's something about opportunities. This opportunity opens another opportunity, and there's always the expression that a lost opportunity is gone. It cost me nothing to go there. Fine, I was on the floor, I was filling files, I was doing this, I was filing, I was doing this and the other. But for me, it was giving me a skill. It was giving me, there's something you learn from everything you do. Yeah. So that's why I'd still go back, because, you know, who's to say the extra money doesn't make a difference? I was never going to be a thief or a dealer. I find it very difficult to get money that I've not earned or worked for. So I think that's also the thing that would drive me to go back. Yeah. Okay. And remember, I had ambitions to travel. Yeah. I want to travel. I want to buy shoes.
And shoes cost money.
And shoes cost money. And I'm not going to have somebody buy me shoes and say, are those the ones I bought you? Hell no. No. In fact, the easiest way to kill me is that saying, is that what I got for you? Keep it.
Independence and you are...
we're inseparable.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the way it's driving you and the good fruits that it's bringing out. Yeah. So, but you're also doing well in school. You're talking about at that time, people are being recruited.
So when we finished, in the third year, those days they would come, the key businesses would come and recruit. And that's how Unilever came, did the first interview, and then got
so
to
you were
the
not
second
alone
level.
when you're talking?
No. I think the first group, they got CVs, and they did another round of interviews. And I think the second round, we may have been, 60 or 100 or something. And then they cut it down to the last 30, who then went to meet the board or something like that. But 30 or was it 20 or something like that went to meet the board. And then I was in the final 9, right? I was the only girl. So 8 guys, 1 girl, me, who was recruited that year by Unilever to join the management training program, which we started in 1989. But I think here's a story I have to say again. which are things you realize. You're talking about Miss Kenya, and I was telling you about some of the implications of doing it, which, you know, at that time was very, very different. And that's why I value sometimes the people who think differently and who are bolder. So when they did the interview, the panel that came, they were all senior, like marketing managers and managers, that level of manager. Manager was a big thing. Your manager was that level before then you joined the board or whatever, who came to do the interview. And on one of the panels, there was a lady. She was a marketing manager. Actually, she went on to be one of my first bosses when I joined. And when they were shortlisting the people to be recruited, she vetoed me. She's the only woman, but she vetoed. And the reason she vetoed it, she told the guys, how do we take a girl like that?
What?
Why would we choose a girl like that? And like that is, and they were like, what do you mean? What is the issue? There's Miss Kenya. We want Miss Kenya types, you know, like that types. Because that was that generation that if you do stuff like that, you must be a particular kind of a person. So that's what I'm telling you. And these guys said, no, that is not the point. The point here, we're taking the best candidates based on an interview process, based on how they do and how they perform and everything else. Now, the funniest thing is, these guys only told me this story. We had a reunion and some meeting, and they only told me this like a decade ago.
What?
I didn't know all those years. Yeah. No. So it was very funny, and they vetoed it. They said, no, she's the best, and we're going to do this. And then I went on, and I joined the business and everything.
Okay.
And the most interesting thing is I went on to do much better than she ever did, because I went on to be an executive that she never made, that woman who vetoed me. So I sit down and I say, you know, these are the biases in life. I sit down and say, never judge anybody. And especially when you're judging them on a basis which is completely groundless. Whatever value set you have, it is your value set. The day you start to impose your value set on others, that is when you're doing justice to people, right? Where's racism? Where does it come from? That's what it comes from. Me believing that I'm more superior to you.
Yep.
It's no different to you sitting down and saying that because she has, she was a Miss Kenya, she must be some floozy, something, whatever, that type of, you ignore all the other things. That's
Despite
the only
the
thing
fact
you
that
see.
you've passed.
Yeah, and that's the only thing, but also because you've got a judgment thing. Those are those kind of girls, right? And it's funny because when I tell you I avoided it for many years, it's because even through whatever I do, when people would want to like slightly put you down, whatever, weren't you Miss Kenya? You know, to be like, weren't you that Miss Kenya at some time? I remember meeting once senior person. I was running a business. I was on the board with this lady's husband and done a lot of things. And she looked at me and said, you were something before. Was it a stewardess or something? You know, something to Miss Kenya, you know, and you realize that's how people, if they want to make you look like you whatever, I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'd have loved to have been. Wow. But I wasn't, you know. So, and that's why I avoided it, because there were people who do it because they're happy for you, but there was also a lot more people who do it because they're trying to put you in a different place.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. I've now understood why you've sort of thrown it to the side. And rightfully so. It's because of how, I mean, it was going to prevent you from getting a job.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know. I didn't know that. But
listen to how
and I sit down and I say that, I'm telling you, it's just a decade ago, we're doing a reunion with all these guys, and they sat down and told me, do you know? I said, you're kidding me. I said, yes. She really fought, and she was like, we cannot take her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Understand how, and sometimes I like CTA because of painting both sides of the picture.
Yeah.
You've talked about being young, reading newspapers, and only seeing men in the board.
Yes.
In the interview process of 9 people, you're one.
Yes.
You're the only woman.
Yes.
She's also the only woman on this side.
She was the only woman on that.
Isn't that even from a biased perspective the reason she should fight for you?
Exactly. But you know, people are different. There are people who are righteous. Where does righteousness come from? Where does judgment come from? It's that kind of thing that drives you. And also you look at yourself a particular way. If you look a particular way, you also have to look at the context of the person where their background is, where their context is, what are the things that they've had to live through. And you'll probably find there's something that impacted them in their lives, which has allowed them then to look at people look a particular way, right? To be a particular kind because of an experience which may not have been a good experience that they've been through. Yeah,
I like what you're saying, because we can repackage what it is that you've said. So Hash is saying Miss Kenya, somebody else is saying somebody of a different gender, race.
Exactly. Yes.
Especially with where we're going right now, the rainbow and all of that. So people can begin judging people on the basis. They
judge you based on this is my belief, this is what. Yeah, but that's exactly why they're called my belief. Yeah, they're not our belief. They're my belief.
Okay.
So you have to allow me to have my belief as well. Wow. Yeah.
I don't want to rush over this. Miles, this thing of you getting this job, there are a couple of questions I have here. When I do CT, I think of the audience and I think of the young people who are going to go through that in life, and how do they learn from here without having experience teach them. Why did you make it through? Through the recruiting process. I mean, you started with at least over 100 people.
Oh, there were 300. Were many.
Listen to that.
Yeah.
What is it? And now I also want you to speak as somebody who recruits. And
I'll tell you something. Yeah. What happens is when you go into something, going believing you're going to get it. Right? Have you seen those stories where they tell you, do you go into a race knowing you're going to lose? No. You go into a race to win, knowing I'm going to win. Doesn't matter who's next to you. If you're in 100 meters, you're there with Usain Bolt. Your whole focus is, I can beat this man. Imagine the glory if I beat this man. You don't go in there, okay, let me just fill the block. I'm here anyway. There's a space. Let me just fill it. That's not the attitude. Otherwise, you should not be there. And it's the same thing with anything you go into. Go into it knowing it is what I want. And part of the lessons I tell people, learn to look at people, see them, speak to them. You know, I'm speaking to you now, Richie. I'm actually speaking to you. I'm looking at you and I'm speaking to you. And I modulate my voice. I change the way I speak. I do a lot of things so that I hold your attention. So these are some of the things you learn. You don't go somewhere to pass time, to be there. That's how you create impressions, right? With people. So when I go into something, I go there listening, looking round the corner. I'm looking behind your eyes. Are they flickering this way, that way? Have I lost him? If I've lost him, I stop. And people don't do that because you spend a lot of time in your head. You go into an interview process. You've already thought of all the things that you want to say as opposed to what you should be saying while you're there, right? You've asked me the question. You've gone through all this. Now I've already rehearsed something in my head, so I spend my eyes are looking up because I'm trying to remember all the things that I had planned to respond to that. People see through that. It is better for you to say what you feel at that time. And that is what allows you to relate to people. Yeah.
No, I know this is going to sound crazy.
Yeah.
But I've refused to hire somebody on the basis of eye contact.
Yes.
Because eye contact sometimes speaks about low self-esteem, low confidence, low thing, and sometimes you need the right person for that job.
Yes.
It's not papers, it's not anything. It's just that so what can you do for me? I'm guaranteed I'm very good at what I do. I'm like I don't make me believe you. You get what I mean? So I love it.
I had a fantastic young guy I recruited in one of my previous jobs. And he'd always talk to you the other way. And I spent time coaching him and saying, you have to learn to look at people. You cannot look. And he said, it's the way I was brought up. You do not look at an adult, a senior in their eyes. It is rude. It is not. I said, no. Let me tell you how it comes across to me. You're shifty. There's so many things it portrays. It portrays shiftiness. It portrays inauthenticity. It portrays lack of confidence. Yeah. It just does not come out right. I remember somebody saying of a politician whose name I should not mention, who they sat down and you're standing in a line, right? You know how those politicians, you stand to just... And this guy comes as he's walking, he's already looking at them. And I said, who is this? At least be there. These are the things that make such a difference when you look people and you make them feel that they're there. Now, when you're looking at something behind my ear, how do I feel? Remember the conversation I said?
Yep.
It's not what you say, it's not what you do, it's how somebody makes you feel. That is what people remember. Yeah.
I just had Leila Masharia on, and I said something a bit controversial.
Yeah.
And I told her, I don't think there's a job problem.
Yes.
Lack of job problem.
Yeah.
I think that recruiters or people in organizations have jobs that they are desperately trying to fill. Yes. But they can't find the right people.
Yes.
I want to throw this to you as somebody who is the CEO of Scan Group.
Yes.
WPP Scan Group.
Yeah.
Meaning there, Scan Group, there's Ogilvy, and I'm sure even there's others.
So many, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a number of businesses.
You have, hundreds of employees. You're constantly looking to fill spots because, of course, maybe people are leaving or people are being promoted. What do you have to say about this element of?
I go on gut. I had this conversation the other day. I was speaking to the Stanford leaders who I worked with in the past, and I'd gone to speak with them, with Paul Kasimo, and talking about the whole process of recruitment and things like that. And I said, there are times you also have to look at gut and look at instincts, look at what is coming there, what is coming through. I used to tell my girls even, your education is not going to matter, by the way, because you're going to get to a point where that is a level. The playing field is level because your papers will all be the same. What people are going to be looking for is the next thing. That thing is a connection, your confidence, how you project, how you relate, all those things. And, like my daughter completely gets it, And I said, these are the things that matter. How did I recruit my current PA, who you know?
Yes.
You've met Mary.
Yep.
Mary hounded me on LinkedIn once, twice. And I said, this girl. I just told, okay, come in. Come and see me. Just the way she walked in.
Yes.
She'd never done a job like this before, never done it. The way she walked in, her confidence level, the way she sat, the way she chatted, the way... I was like, I can relate to you. I tell people, remember, people do not want to work with people they don't get along with.
True.
I don't care how brilliant and how good you are. If you are a terrible, testy, negative personality who sucks the energy out of others, however brilliant you are, at some point, people are going to be, you know what, I don't need this. Or they'll be there because they want the check, they have bills to pay, but they're never going to go the extra mile. People like to be around people they like to be around.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
Yep.
So the minute you understand that concept, you then learn the art of, it's not inauthentically being likable because people can see that.
Yep.
It's called sucking up, it's being sycophant, it's being, all those
Kissing.
things. Ass kissing. No, it's not that. It's just the ability to just be you, right? So when you want to be friendly, you're friendly. When you don't, you don't. When you're whatever, that's it. That is who you have to be. Yeah. Now, if anybody walks into a room and they spend the whole time, I'm so hard about that, out. I won't, because I don't want somebody who's going to think we're not the same level. We have to be. And that is what confidence is, right? We have to be peers. We have to connect. That's a value you're bringing to me. And I'm going to give you some value as well. And that's a power. So there is a shift. And one of the things I've said, I was speaking to you about some of the opportunities that I really love to recruit now is because I want to meet those people. And I can tell the minute I see you, just from your attitude. Attitude is everything. Attitude is everything. Everything else we can build.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or teach.
Or teach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope somebody out there has had this, and I'll keep saying it. Part of the reason why I'm bringing leaders is to change this narrative.
Yeah.
It's not that there's no jobs.
Yes.
It's that there's the people who are trying to fill those slots.
Yes.
There's a certain way you need to be.
Exactly.
And it's not just about your age.
And a lot of people also say it's unfair because of my upbringing. I couldn't have experienced this because where I was beaten down in life, I wasn't. One of the best performers I have right now is a young man who recruited as he came to do an internship. He's from the art of music. The korogosho, the music, whatever.
Yep.
And I was told, this, and he came in. Let me tell you, he's flying, right? But his attitude, he's happy, he's willing, he's good. You pop in, say hi. I'm like,
I love it.
You're the guy.
Yeah, I love it.
So somebody would have sat down and said, my upbringing, I was in Korogosho, I had nothing.
This happened to me,
all
yes.
my life. I can't speak. No, it's all a matter of attitude. And the day you shift your attitude, it's the day you start to live. Yeah, and life gives everybody different blows. Somebody might sit down and say, oh, you're privileged, maybe that's why you were able to speak. But who says? I could sit down and tell you where life has beaten me.
Yep.
And I could also have gone down, because in every single context, there are things that have beaten me down. There are moments when I've been like, oh my goodness.
Look at this Miss Kenya story.
Yeah, Miss Kenya, I'd have sat down and said, you know what? I'm not going to outlive this one. I'll be vilified for the rest of my life. I'll be branded a particular type of person all my life. But, you tell yourself, no, this is not it. I will write my own story. I'm not going to let other people write my story. And that's why I always tell people, write your own story.
I love it.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, don't waste your pain.
Yes.
If you went through pain, take that pain and use it as your stepping stone.
Exactly.
And your X factor.
Exactly.
Doris Mayoli, who I've also had here, and Giuliani. Those are two amazing people who have learned, despite what has happened or where they've grown up with, what you're talking about.
Yes.
They've been able to take that and show the good out of that.
Yes, yes.
I'm loving this.
Yeah.
So they come calling. You the only lady in.
Last lot, go in, join the business, and spend an amazing 15-year career.
What do you start by? 15 years?
Yes, management trainee. I was a management trainee.
What year is this?
89.